Okay, welcome back to the channel. It is Christmas, yay! So here we have a Christmas present. It's very nicely wrapped by my significant other, and it was my Christmas present from her. I did have to find it, source it, purchase it, pay for it. You get the picture, but it's a genuine gift given with loving. Anyway, should we get it open and see what's in there? It's a story of two halves, and one is a sweet victory, the other is a bitter loss. So, but we'll see when we get in. Right, we're gonna get rid of this one, and we're gonna open this monster. So I'm gonna put the box on the floor to get it out because it's rather large. Okay, so straight away some people are going to know what this is. It is a G3 based Power Mac. This is the sad bit of the story because, as you can see, the handles are completely knackered. And there is a bit of a story attached to that. So I bought this on eBay, as where I sourced a lot of my things, and I was very excited to get it. And knowing that these get broken in the post all the time, and this had to be posted because I couldn't collect it, I did ask the seller to remove the handles before he posted it and to package it as well as he could. And he said he was going to do that, but unfortunately this came in a box with the other item and it had a single layer of the thin bubble wrap on it. The handles were still attached, and as you can see, it's kind of coming apart. Unfortunately, I've got the bits. Put them in a bag. I took a video of it when it arrived, just to document it for me, my own purposes. I don't think I'm going to make a claim because what can I do? It's already happened. I can't undo it. It's just a massive, massive shame. If you are, my first ever YouTube video was a whinge about eBay packaging, so have a look at that. But you know, if you are sending stuff through the post that's fragile, then please package it really nicely. Anyway, so here it is. It's a G3. This hard drive cage was loose and floating around on the inside of the case when it arrived as well. So I don't know whether this is going to work. I don't know whether anything's been damaged beyond the cosmetics, the plastics. So that's all a bit of a concern. So this is the part of the story that is a very massive disappointment. It's not even closing now. Something's twisted out of shape. I can't see what it is from here. There we go. So there we go. Bit of a nightmare and somewhat disappointing. So let's see the win. Let's see what actually was worth the journey. And this is it. It's the original Blueberry Apple Studio display. I've been after one of these for a little while. Isn't that a beautiful thing? And amazingly, this didn't get damaged in transit. I don't know how it didn't get damaged because it was in the same box as the other one. This one didn't even have bubble wrap around it. There was a couple of bits of polystyrene wedged in to stop it from getting damaged, but amazingly it has survived. And these are getting quite hard to get hold of now. I don't think they were on sale for very long. They come up for sale on eBay probably, you know, a few times a year in the UK, and they're always at astronomical prices. So this is the first one I've managed to get my hands on. So there. So that seems to be working, as in it's not broken. They're both a bit dirty and grubby because they've been stored in a loft, and I think this is working. So let's plug it in, find out. I'm hoping it's working because nothing else is damaged. Yeah, let's just plug it in and try, see what happens. So the studio display actually has an external power supply, a bit like modern iMacs do. So that luckily was in the package. That just takes a standard IEC cable on the end, and it's only got a little barrel connector on this end. And it's interesting because Apple have tried so many times to get a single cable to do everything. And again, they haven't really accomplished that with this. There are cables everywhere. So there's 3 cables that go into the back of the system. This skinny one here, I think, is the power supply. It looks like that should plug into here. As it does. But then we've got these 2 other cables. And one of them is the display cable connector, and it's got a standard VGA connector on it, which is, I suppose, welcome. Makes a change for Apple to be using a standard connector. But there's also this pigtail, I think you might call that, which has got ADB on it. So the G3, when it first came out, I think is the last Mac to have an ADB connector on it, and it's only got one because they wanted everyone to move to USB. But it is there in case you've got a digitizer or a scanner that still uses ADB. But the reason this is on the monitor is that there is actually this plugs into the back of your Mac, and then down here on the base there is actually an ADB port, so you can plug something directly into the monitor, so it doesn't have to go all the way to the base unit. But cabling wise, it's a bit of a mess. So we'll try and get this all tidied up. That looks like that should be connected on there somehow. There we go. So yeah, so let's plug it in and see if it's working. Ergonomic wise, this has actually got a height adjustable stand. So this can go up and down, and it can swivel, and it can tilt. So it is a fairly adaptable display. Also, under this panel, it's actually got some additional video inputs for kind of non-computery stuff, some kind of AV inputs. So you could plug this into your PlayStation, for example, potentially. Okay, so we have the monitor plugged into the power, and we do actually have a power indicator, which is reassuring. Let's plug this in. Okay, it hasn't jumped into life. Let's try the power button. Oh. I don't know if that was supposed to be a bong, but that was rather unpleasant. I can hear hard drive spinning up. There was this terrible crackly thing. We're not getting any output on the computer. Do I need to turn this on, or does it auto? Yeah, so no computer signal. So the screen's working. That's very welcome. But it's not picking up a signal from the G3. We've got power, so that's good. But yeah, let's just power cycle it, see if that makes a difference. It hasn't got a PRAM battery in. Got a different kind of pop, pop, pop from the speaker this time, not a highly distorted chime. What I was saying is there's no PRAM battery in this, and I can't remember whether they need one to boot. So let's put one in. Let's do that next. Doesn't look like there's any battery leakage or anything there. So that's good. Let's put the battery in. Okay, let's try that again. Really crackly. Trying to chime but can't. Hard drives are spinning up. There's power to the optical drive, but still nothing on the video. Okie dokie. So I think we're going to need to take the G3 apart and kind of strip it and see if there's anything that's obviously wrong with it. Let's do that next. Actually, next, let's see if the monitor's working. I'm going to plug it into this laptop and see if we can output a video signal via this VGA. There we go. So yeah, it's definitely working. It's getting a signal from the laptop, so that's nice. So we know this is fine. It's the base unit we need to work on. Okay, power's still in. I've opened up the side so that we can just see what happens when we do turn it on, see if anything obvious is amiss. There's no CPU cooling fan. There is a fan here, which is a general case fan. Okay, so that is spinning up. I can hear the hard drive spinning up. We're getting this crackle from the speaker, which is one of these connectors over here, isn't it? Probably this one. This one, I should say. We've got 3 sticks of RAM in here, we've got the VGA card in here, and we've got the connectors for the drives. So let's start by stripping a few things out, take it to the bare minimum. We're going to use the motherboard, 1 RAM stick, and the VGA card, and we'll see if we get any further. In terms of memory, we've got 3 sticks in there. There's a Kingston, I'm guessing it's a 128K megabyte module. Judging by this code here, it doesn't specifically say. Oh, someone's written in felt tip on the back, 128 megabytes. Hopefully that's not shorting anything. So that's one. The other one, this is a Micron, 128 megs, 100 megahertz, ECC, interestingly. So I do think the G3 can use ECC memory, but you probably can't mix and match 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chips because there's ECC. There's 9 on the back as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's, and we've got 8 RAM chips. That's not ECC memory. I wonder if that's part of the problem. The third stick that's in there is another module. Again, this is non-ECC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 sticks. Got some writing on here. Shows as 256 megabytes. Well, that's good because it is a 256 megabyte module, synchronous 133 megahertz. Cache latency 3. So we've got 3 different types of memory in this Mac. It's obviously been upgraded over the time, but that's probably not helping. So we'll just try one of those at a time and see if that helps it to boot. The fact that it's making that horrible noise though means there's probably more than just that that's the problem. I'm just going to reseat every connector, so let's see if we can get this power connector out. Doesn't look damaged, but it was near where the hard drives were floating around. Let's undo the hard drive cable. So interestingly, that's got some damage in it. It's got some damages on this side. I don't know if that's anything to do with anything. As I said, the drive cage was floating around inside when I got it. So could be that. Let's reduce the load on this power supply by unplugging those 2 drives. So it has got 2 drives, which is obviously not default from the factory. This is a 40 gig AT from Mac Store. Hasn't got an Apple logo on it, so I'm guessing that's not original. Something just fell out. So something fell out of the drive cage and rolled underneath the motherboard, which I can't get out, so we're going to have to fully disassemble this. What I was going to do is just remove these connectors and reseat them, but let's take the whole thing out so we can get to that, what I presume is a screw. Let's take out the display adapter. Should be an ATI, it is. So I think these came with ATI Rage 128s originally. So this is what this is. So yeah, so we have a Rage 128 base card here. It looks fine. I can't see that there's any damaged components from that drive cage that was moving around, but it would have been in the line of fire. So it's possible the video card is actually damaged. Some missing components, but I think they're missing from the factory. So take the motherboard out. I presume it's just a case of removing the obvious screws. I don't think there's any tricks to this. There is a loose screw up here and a missing I/O panel, so something was in there at some point, which is no longer in there. So this was sold to me as working. The person who was selling it had it in their loft for several years, so they hadn't tested it recently, but it is thought to be working. Looks like they've gone with a consistent size of screw for screwing the motherboard and the I/O shield accessory card, so that's good. Thank you, Apple. Why didn't you carry on with that? that screw's at a very funny angle. I don't know if you can see that, but if I put my screwdriver into the head of that screw, it's about at that angle. So it's probably had a jolt. That doesn't bode well. So we'll probably need to remove some screws from the back to get this kind of I/O shield off. And there's one more screw here on the other side of the RAM here. So there are several screws in the back that look like they need to come out to remove the motherboard. In fact, that just holds the modem cover in place, so I don't need to remove that one. So this comes with built-in wired Ethernet, and a modem was optional, and it protruded from here and it plugs in just above this firewire module, I think. I'm hoping the firewire module doesn't need to come out. Let's take out the firewire module anyway. Is it? I'm assuming it's simple. There's a screw on the back as well. And weirdly, that's not the same size as any other screw. There we go. 2 firewire ports. And that reveals an extra screw holding the motherboard in. So yeah, did need to take that out. So missing the extra screw is hidden under this firewire port here. So I presume this just pulls out now. Feels like there's one more holding it in place. I can't see a screw, but there's this post. So that post probably doubles as a screw. Yes, it does. And there we go. So what was it that rolled underneath the motherboard? Aha! It rolled over the hinge. It's a small weld of some kind. Looks like it's from the hinge here. Same kind of welding that's in the hinge, but it's probably from the drive cage itself. So to take this drive cage out, I think you pop this off. It's a 1 tab, or is there 2 tabs? There we go, there's the 2nd tab. There's a drive cover come off. And spring-loaded doors. The second door here is blanked off because we don't have a zip drive. It's going to remove the screws that hold the drive cage in, and then we'll slide it forward and slide it back in so we can reseat that anchor. So in theory this should just come out. There we go. So if we just push it back now, it should just go back through that little hole, I think. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. And when it's screwed in at the front, I can't believe that popped out just in transit. That must have been just, who knows. But let's put the drive cage back together. I'm going to leave the cover off just in case we need to change this optical drive. So the additional drive sleds are held in place with a screw. There's one there and there's one there. And obviously that screw must be missing from this 3rd drive sled. Otherwise it wouldn't have been loose. Okay, so let's get the motherboard back in and see if we can get it to boot. Just going to put 4 screws in just to keep it in place. Just looking at a close look at the motherboard just to make sure I can't see anything that's damaged physically from when that drive cage went sliding around. This cable doesn't look damaged. All the motherboard components look correct. Doesn't look like there's anything missing. So I think we'll just plug it back in and see what happens. Let's put one sticker RAM in. Let's put the non-ECC one in and see if that will get it to boot. I'm not going to put the other IDE cable in for no particular reason. Obviously we do need the power connector. Okay, let's turn it on, see if we get a chime this time. No chime. Everything's still getting power as it should. We've got no video card in, so maybe it needs a video card. Let's put that back in. There we go. Let's try powering on again. No chime. I'm getting power LED on the board. Optical drive's getting power. Fan's powering up. So I think the power supply is working. But the motherboard currently silent. So I'll plug the monitors back in just in case we're getting a video signal but no chime. Again, we're getting power LED on the motherboard, but no video signal. Let's try a different stick of RAM in a different socket. Okay, we've got a single beep. So we know the speaker's working, so that's a start, isn't it? So a single beep means the RAM, no RAM or RAM not being detected. So let's take out this module, which happens to be the ECC one, and put in a different one. And try again. Hey, we have a chime. We're making progress. Oh, I think we're going to get a video signal. Yes. The monitors come on. There's nothing to display. Okay, progress is made. In that case, what we're going to do is reassemble the drives. Yeah, so it can't find an operating system. So in that case, we're going to reassemble the drives and see if we can get it to boot. So I'm going to put it back in with this damaged cable just because I don't have another IDE cable to hand. But it could be that this cable is faulty as well. The drive cage is in there, but it's loose just for testing. Put the suspect IDE cable in. Let's get some power to the drives, which is turning out to be the most fiddly thing. So I do like this open door design, but working in that far corner is actually a little bit fiddly, particularly when there's two drives close together. Those connectors and the power connectors are a bit fiddly. Anyway, let's turn it on, see what happens. Drives are spinning up. We have a chime. Still haven't got a video signal this time though. No video signal. So it's possible there is something wrong with that IDE cable that's causing a short, because it now isn't booting despite the chime. Nah, it is booting. On the off chance I just power cycled it. It does now appear to be working. So there's a flickering LED on the motherboard there. I was wondering if that's data transfer on the IDE bus flicker. Interesting. There's two further LEDs over here. I'm not sure what they are. It's thinking about booting. There's a couple of marks on the screen, but they look like they might wipe out. I don't think they're dinks. Okay, so it's running macOS. Which version? 10.2 maybe? Okay, so now we've got it working. Let's reassemble it and see if we can get it working to a point where we can have a look at what's on the hard drives. So now we've got it reassembled. Let's have a quick look at the back of the unit. So we've got the two FireWire 400 ports, the legacy ADB port, you've got the 10100 I think, Ethernet, modem blanking plate, two USB ones, and then you've got the audio in and out. Assembled in Ireland. Let's have a look at the specification stick in a bit more detail. So made on the 27th of May 1999, and it's a 350 megahertz version with a 512K cache, and that's why I think the very base spec was a bit slower than the beige G3, because the beige G3s have 1 megabyte of cache, I think. This is supposed to have a CD-ROM. It has got a DVD drive in there, which is maybe when that drive cage got misaligned. 64 megabytes RAM, that's had been upgraded, and a 60 gigabyte hard drive. So that's what the lower one of those two presumably is. The upper one was the 40 gig drive. I'm guessing this is a revision 2 because it's got 2 drives on that primary IDE channel, and I think the very first revisions of these had a problem with that. And yeah, also it's got a double height drive stack, hasn't it? So that's also a feature of the revision 2, I think. Okay, we're all back together. I have a matching keyboard and mouse. It didn't come with this, they came with my iMac G3, but they're good enough. So let's turn it on. Proper chime, so that's good. So we don't know what the username password is for this system, so just going to try the default, which is just pressing enter, see if it's a blank password. If that doesn't work, we'll try and boot off a FireWire hard disk and see if we can bypass logging in. So these would originally come with macOS 8.1, so the fact that it's got OS X on it, and also the fact that it's been upgraded from the CD to the DVD drive, and the fact it's got extra memory. Looks like somebody did look after the system and use it on a regular basis when they first had it. So let's just try pressing enter. Nope, it's not letting us do that. Okay, let's try booting on FireWire, see if that helps. So I've just been looking at that sticker on the back again, and it's a bit weird because the 350 megahertz G3 should have 1 megabyte of cache. And this sticker definitely says 512k of cache, which is a bit unusual. I've also misread the hard disk capacity. It's 6 gigabytes, not 60 gigabytes. Blue and Whites also can't boot from FireWire, and I can't seem to get it to go into target disk mode either, so it looks like that's not an option. What we're going to do is boot off an optical drive, see if we can get into the system that way. So let's try booting off this retail version of Mac OS 10.1. So here we go, let's see if it will boot off the optical drive. We don't know if the optical drive is working, of course. So the optical drive is certainly spinning, and it's spinning up at a speed that is appropriate for reading. Hasn't booted to OS X off the hard drive yet, but it hasn't really done anything, has it? Looks like it's booting off the hard drive again. Okay, I've just unplugged the hard disks and trying to boot off the optical drive to prove it works, and it does. So I know that works. So let's just try booting off the optical drive again. It doesn't work with the option, the Alt key, so let's try the C key. Okay. So we're getting a different response this time, so it looks like it's going to boot off the optical drive. Excellent. Okay, well, I've definitely booted it into the installer, so that is great. So what I'm interested in is, can we use this to access those hard drives? Let's find out what hard drives we've got, actually. Okay, interesting. So we've got 2 40 gigabyte hard disks. Neither of them are the original 6 gig factory one. And then we've got the DVD drive here. So you've got Western Digital Caviar on the master, and then we've got the Mac Store is a slave. Interestingly, the first hard disk has got an FHS plus partition on it, which is what you'd expect, but the Mac Store's got an MS-DOS partition on it. I wonder what's going on there. So we don't actually need to see what's on those hard disks, it was just for curiosity. So let's bypass the whole thing and install a new hard disk. In this case, we're going to put in a Seagate Medalist 10 gigabytes, and that's about the right capacity for this machine when it would have come from the factory. I don't think Apple used Seagate very much, but let's put this in and install an operating system to this, and then get the machine working. So I'm not even going to take these out of the caddy. I'm just going to steal the cable, attach it to the Seagate drive, and just pop it straight back in. The Seagate drive is already jumpered for master, so that's fine. I've got the luxury of doing it outside of the case, so let's do that. Because the Seagate drive's got a rubber bumper, it doesn't need any extra shielding before I drop it down. Now what I don't know is what's on that Seagate drive. It's very likely it's got a DOS related partition on it, but the installer can deal with that. So let's put an OS 9 boot disk in and see what happens. So it says it can't find an operating system, so that's good. That means it can't boot off the hard disk, but we don't want it to. We want it to boot off the optical drive anyway. Hopefully it will jump straight through to the installer. And there we go. being a base spec. G3 I think probably is going to suit to have classic OS on there. That Rage 128 is a decent graphics card for the time, so it should be able to play some contemporary games, and I think that's probably the way to go. We'll not worry about those two other drives that were in the system. So let's have a quick look at this hard drive, see what's on there already. Okay, so the drive isn't initialized. So it must have been white before it was taken out. So that's all good. Let's install OS 9.2. In fact, it's 9.2.1. So one choice, it's detected the correct size. We're pretty much going to install everything. There's no reason not to. Okay, let's come back to this at the end. Okay, installation is finished, so let's reboot. It lives. It even got the right desktop background. Look at that. Matches the holographic stickers on the G3, blue and white, very nicely. And it sounds like it's starting up off the hard disk, which is what we intended. Most importantly, let's have a look at this machine now. So we have 256 megs of RAM, which is what we expected from that one single DIMM. Let's have a look at System Profiler. So running 9.2.1 Power Mac G3, 350 megahertz, that is correct. Machine ID 406. So this says the backside level cache is 1 megabyte, which is what we would expect it to be. But the sticker on the back says 512 megabytes, so is that a misprint on the sticker? That's interesting. If you know more about that, whether this is a special edition that has only got 512K of cache, or whether it has got the full 1 megabyte, please let me know. Using the serial number on every Mac, it says that this is actually, should be a 1 megabyte cache model. So the display is the ATI Rage 128. And we've got this 1024 by 768 display, very nice. It's pretty nippy. With this base install of 9.2 and a 10 gig hard drive, which is going to be mechanically very slow, it's actually reasonably fast. So I'm glad we have it working. So there we have it, the lovely studio display, 15-inch 1024 by 768, with its matching blueberry coloured. Now it is a bit beaten up. I'm going to have to get some new handles for that and clean it up and reseat some of those panels. But I think actually it will brush up quite nicely once we've dealt with the handles. It's very disappointing to receive a bag of parts. I was very disappointed, especially given the fact that, you know, I told the seller to take them off, really, ideally. I'm glad we got it working. I don't know why it's got a mixture of memory in it. That's definitely been part of the problem. Putting in a more age-appropriate hard disk, I think, is going to make it feel like a more kind of authentic system. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed getting this working again. We'll see you in the next one.